Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Snark Bait. I'm Christy.
I'm Sophie. Hello.
Hello.
How we doing today?
I realize, Sophie, sometimes we start these shows off and they're new listeners and they don't realize what our show is about sometimes. We just assume everyone's like in on the joke, They know the Sophie
Yeah,
voice, they know all of our inside jokes. One of these days I want to write down a list of our inside jokes because I feel like there's so many.
I love our inside jokes
I know.
with the baby Snarks.
But if you guys are new here, we cover all things niche, influencer, pop culture. I don't know. You're better at this, Sophie.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I feel like we don't really have like a tagline.
Yeah.
So I was like brainstorming some the other day and I was like, we're extremely online, so you don't have to be. That was the tagline that I came up with because I feel like we are diving into these rabbit holes that I feel like the average person is too busy to really care about. So we
Yeah.
do that for you. Like today's episode, Hilary Duff and Haylie Duff, why are they no longer close as sisters? What's their feud about? You probably don't have the time to care about this. You have a life. That's what we're here for. This is our life.
Yes. I love that. I did a poll on my Instagram and I asked people, are you following this Hillary and Haley Duff drama? And it literally was 50-50. There was hundreds of votes and half of them were like, yes, I'm so in it. Half of them were like, no, I don't care. But some people did say, can you please walk me through it? Because there's just like so much going on in the press, especially with her new album that came out 2 weeks ago. By the time this releases, there's a lot to dive into here. But Sophie, before we get started, is there anything you want to like talk about?
No, I was just going to say, thank God we found each other because I actually was writing something that you guys will read soon. But I was writing about how, like, I feel like I was always, I don't want to act like I was like a freak growing up, but like, I was always obsessed with pop culture and celebrity gossip. And I know you were too. And I love how we found this community because again, like the average person does not care this much. Like we care a lot.
Yeah, and we said this story so many times, but when Sophie and I were in West Hollywood and we saw the Viper Room, we both stopped dead in our tracks. And the majority of people that we know would not understand that reference, but her and I just looked at each other and we knew exactly what we
River
stumbled upon.
Phoenix.
Yep. Yep.
Sushi Park.
We stopped dead in our tracks again.
Yeah, it's like I never felt fully, I'm not going to act like I was some black sheep, but like I never felt fully accepted for my love of pop culture the way that I do now with the baby Snarks. And so thank you guys for accepting us just as we are. I feel like we can be our authentic selves on the show, and I love that for us and so appreciate it.
That's so beautiful. I love that. Now I'm curious of what you were writing for. Is this for Snarkbait?
It's for our Instagram.
Oh, cute. Okay, well, I look forward to reading that. So let's just dive right in because I know that there's a lot for us to cover, and there's been even more press and coverage since her album has come out. She's done multiple interviews. She did one with Anthony Mason with CBS Morning. She did one with Alex Cooper. And I watched it, so you guys did not have to. I had to endure an hour and 15 minutes of Alex Cooper asking softball questions and her not following up on the things that Hilary Duff was saying. I was like screaming through my screen. Just a quick conjecture. There was one question that Alex had asked her. She was like, was there ever a moment where you felt, just asking about like her life as a Disney kid. And Hilary said, I do feel like I grew up relatively, quote unquote, normally in comparison to my peers. But I will say, looking back as an adult, I'll think through things where I was like, that was a little bit odd. Like, that was really weird. And I wanted Alex Cooper to say, can you give us an example of when that happened? And she didn't.
No follow-up questions. You are literally braver than the Marines for sitting through that.
I texted Sophie and I said, okay, I'm going to have to watch this Call Her Daddy interview, despite me not wanting to. And Sophie goes, thank you for taking one for the team. That means a lot.
Yeah, like I couldn't. I could never.
It's okay. You listen to the Vial sometimes for market research, despite like every inch of you not wanting to.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
So we all have to take one for the team.
It's funny. If I have to listen to the Vial Files, you have to listen to Call Her Daddy. Those can be our respective, like, painful parts of our jobs.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So let's dive right in. I have talked about many a time Hilary Duff being a very meaningful part of my childhood. And as the baby snarks know, if you guys follow us on Instagram or me on Instagram, I recently went to her Las Vegas Voltaire show at the Venetian a couple weeks back. And I dressed up as Isabella. My girlfriend Amber dressed up as Lizzie. And I actually met a baby snark there. Her name is Rachel. She was so lovely and
So cute.
just such a sweet girl. But in any case, it was one of the best nights of my life. And I just look back on Hilary Duff and her career and her music and her television career as very nostalgic and meaningful to me as a young girl growing up on the Disney Channel. But what was Hilary Duff like? What did she mean to you, Sophie, as a little Sophie growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio?
Cincy shout out. I mean, it's funny, I was talking about this with my coworkers yesterday because we were talking about Hannah Montana's like comeback. And I feel like the millennials that are our age, I was obsessed with Hannah Montana. I was not too old, too young. I was the perfect age, I feel like, for Hannah Montana and a lot of those Disney shows. Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, like I that's just what I grew up with. So I feel like I just grew up with her. Not to mention I also loved uh Casper.
Oh,
Remember Casper?
yeah.
I was obsessed with Casper. That now you guys know I'm like a freak who loves like spooky stuff and true crime. Like Casper may have started that, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I just grew up with Hilary Duff. And then of course, when you talk about speaking of pop culture and gossip magazines, her and Aaron Carter in her feud with Lindsay Lohan. Like this was all
Yes.
such J14 fodder.
J14B.
I
Oh, what a
love
Tiger Beat, Tiger
J14.
Beat.
Yeah. And then the Lizzie McGuire movie. I remember going to Rome in high school with my AP Euro class.
That's
Thought
so
I was Lizzie
badass.
McGuire.
Yeah. That is really cool. I studied abroad in Rome literally because of the Lizzie
Because
McGuire
of
movie.
the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it really, I feel like she just was such a big part of our childhoods as this age of millennial. Like you might be a few years older or too young to appreciate it, but I feel like at our age it was like the perfect moment.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought up the Lindsay Lohan Aaron Carter feud. So Hilary Duff in the Call Her Daddy interview, and this is just a little bit of like this is not anything to do with the episode, but if you didn't watch the Call Her Daddy interview, Hilary Duff did say that she got invited to Aaron Carter's birthday party when she was like young, like 12. And she said all the It Girls were there. Amanda Bynes was there, Mary-Kate and Ashley were there. She said that her and Aaron kind of shared a moment, and it was after that birthday party that she suggested to the showrunner, hey, we should have Aaron Carter make a cameo on Lizzie McGuire. And that's how they met, and that's how they started dating as like little tweens. But she did say that she did, in fact, crash the Freaky Friday premiere. You guys have probably seen the clips by now.
Yeah.
But at this point, Hilary Duff was like everything to us. Lindsay Lohan was finally making her, dare I say, comeback after Parent Trap. And Freaky Friday was like her first big film. I mean, to me, it should have been Get a Clue. That was such a good movie. Get a Clue with,
Oh my God, I forgot about Get a Clue.
and like Life Size with Tyra
Yep.
Banks, which, beautiful girl.
Beautiful girl.
Added to the list. But she said that, you know, the rumors are true. I did crash the Freaky Friday premiere because we were at the height of our Aaron Carter drama. Chad Michael Murray, he had just starred in a Cinderella story. It was Chad Michael Murray that requested Hilary Duff to be like his plus one at the premiere, which I just think is so shady and funny. But to me, her admitting to that lore is hilarious to me. Were you Team Hilary or Team Lindsay, by the way?
Oh my God. Honestly, like, I would say Team Hillary because I feel like Lindsay at this time was kind of like the bad girl of the Disney Channel. And so I was like, Hillary's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. I love them both, but I do think I just adored Lindsay for some reason. Like I love Hillary, still do, but I think Lindsay Lohan was just so cool that I just like wanted to be her. I
Yeah,
just thought
she
she was
was-
awesome. Like yeah,
She was
everything.
like cool and like risque for like
Yeah.
for like being like a tween.
Yeah, remember like the boob job rumors? Like there needs to be a whole episode we need to do on Patreon maybe of just how problematic we used to be about young girls and like how the
Yeah.
tabloids would use them as fodder. But
Yeah.
in any case, this is obviously a very deep part of my pop culture, my love of pop culture. So let's get into it. Let's talk about like how I'm gonna walk through this episode because there's a lot here. We're all familiar with Hilary Duff's discography, Lizzie McGuire movie, Metamorphosis, her first album, Agent Cody Banks. All these things really put her on the map in like the 2000s. And I really feel like Hilary created a blueprint of what a Disney Channel starlet turned triple threat would later be. Because then she kind of built the mold that is Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus. And I think that what's really, really kind of talked about in the press right now is Hilary Duff's relationship with her sister Haylie. And that's what I want to focus on in this episode. So we want to talk about Haylie, what her rise into stardom, or like lack thereof, was like. How did that impact Shady?
The shade.
And I also feel like you and I can relate to this just being having sisters. And I feel like we could probably speak to how this would probably make us feel if we were in Haylie Duff's position. But
Totally.
how would Hilary Duff's rise to stardom impact her family life? And why does their fallout after doing my research seem low-key very unsurprising? And I think it also speaks to her relationship, her strained relationship with her father, Hilary's strained relationship with her father. She talks about it in The Optimist, one of her songs on Luck or Something Like It on her album. And I think she just genuinely has had a very troubled family life. And I don't think we knew the extent of it until this album. And I have to say, I've been listening to her album nonstop since it released 2 weeks ago. And it is a lot more provocative and transparent than I ever thought she would be about her personal life and her fear of abandonment and her wounds with her family, her father and her sister specifically. So I'm excited to kind of bring you guys through this.
I'm excited. Wait, just a side note, because I was thinking about her longevity of a triple threat, like you said. Did you ever watch Younger?
I didn't, but she did say on Call Her Daddy
my
that was
God.
one of her favorite projects, but it didn't really get attention until after it wrapped because now
Oh my
it's on
God.
Netflix.
I was upset. Okay. Well, hello. I was watching it while it was airing.
TV Land, right?
It was,
I think it was on TV
it
Land,
was,
yeah.
it was TV Land, and I was obsessed with it. It's a Darren Star production, so it's like Sex and the City, Emily in Paris. It's very like fun and funny, but I feel like, yeah, like it didn't have like a huge audience at the time. I was like the only person watching it, I feel like. Such a good show, though. Highly recommend if you're a fan of like Emily in Paris, Sex and the City. Like it's like silly and fun.
Yeah, I heard it's an incredible
And she's great
show.
in it. Like
Yeah.
she's so good.
Yeah.
She's genuinely a good actress. Like we said, we've talked about like child actors that grow up and it's like, wait, you actually can't act. Like she can.
Yeah, I think she's really improved as she's gotten older. So let's talk about Hilary's upbringing and like the TLDR on Haylie. So Hilary is 2 years younger than her sister. Haylie was born February 1985 and Hilary was born in September 1987. Are you and Amanda, how far apart are you guys?
We're 3 years. She's exactly to the month because we're both March babies like you.
Oh, cute.
So she is, yeah, exactly 3 years older than me.
Okay, so my sister and I'm 2 years older than her. So I feel like we can kind of understand this sisterly dynamic when it comes to
Yeah.
age gaps.
Yep.
So Hilary and Haylie were born and raised in Texas by their parents Susan and Robert Duff before moving to LA to pursue both of their acting careers. So not just Hilary's, they wanted Haylie to pursue one as well. Hilary was obviously the lead of Disney Channel's Lizzie McGuire, and she had a couple stints on TV. She was a series regular on Seventh Heaven. Seventh Heaven, when I see your happy.
Did you watch that?
I mean, clearly I knew the
Clearly.
freaking theme song. Like, it's so embarrassing.
Clearly.
That show was, like, dark.
I never watched it.
I mean, you're better off
Wasn't
for
it? Wasn't it kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like a Christian show.
Yes. And
Okay, that's probably why.
the father was a reverend, but he actually had some really creepy allegations.
Yes, didn't he like, he's a predator?
Yes.
Yes, in real life.
Right. Haylie also had some roles on The Amanda Show, That's So Raven, and she had a short stint on Broadway in June 2006 for Hairspray, but she kind of left after the fall, so only a couple months. So speaking with TV Insider in June 2005, Haylie opened up about navigating the entertainment industry with Hilary at such a young age. She said, quote, "I feel that we both ended up pretty normal. I think it's because my mom stayed really involved in my life. I spend a lot of time with my mom. I think the fact she was very involved in us navigating this industry is probably the reason we didn't go off the rails more. I'm not saying we didn't get into some trouble here and there, but nothing all that serious." And as a side note, I do think when we think about young Hollywood stars that end up kind of going off the rails, I think a lot of it has to do with the involvement of the parental figure. I think, for instance, Shia LaBeouf, whose dad would like drop him off at even Steven sets and then like peace out. And I feel like now that we know so much about the darkness that is Dan Schneider and what the kind of abuse that these children are put under the guise of you're in this protected TV set. There's, cameras, lights. How could you ever be abused when in fact that was happening all the time behind the scenes? I do feel like Hilary Duff's mom being her momager and making decisions on behalf of Hilary and being right there on set with her was a large contribution to Hilary not being, I don't know, having as many issues as her counterparts.
Right. She kind of beat the child actor curse.
Yeah. Yeah. And Hilary Duff says in Call Her Daddy, she's like, I know people always label me the good girl, and I didn't always like that growing up because I felt like I was labeled something that I didn't feel was necessarily true to me. But at the same time, I do think my family had a big part in me growing up, quote unquote, normal. So I can imagine being Susan Duff, Hilary and Haley's mother, how difficult it must have been raising two girls and having one far more famous than the other. And Susan Duff really tried to make Haley happen, but she really could never recreate the success that Hilary had had. Susan went so far as even to produce this film called Material Girls. I actually never saw this, and this was at the height of Hilary Duff, where everything she did turned into gold, like Cinderella Story, Agent Cody Banks. But when Girls hit like the silver screen, it completely panned. It grossed $16.9 million, and Lucas Haas, trigger warning, we talk about him on one of our favorite episodes we've ever recorded to date. Pussy Posse with Leo DiCaprio. Like, we did a whole episode on this on our Patreon, patreon.com/snarkbaitpod, but Lucas Haas was one of the Pussy Posse members, and he was one of the stars on Material Girls. And he said that he found the film to be so awful, he didn't even expect it to ever be released. And
oh my God, that's so funny.
So embarrassing. He's like, I was so unhappy with the film. And he said that we had been trying to sell the film to different distributors with little to no success until it finally landed.
God,
but this
so
is,
funny.
I feel, Susan Duff's attempt to really push both girls in their careers. Hilary
like
Duff
as a duo.
Yes. Like maybe a Mary Kate Ashley type situation.
Right.
A little bit more on Haley, always living in the shadow of someone else's dream. Haley had some featured parts on Hilary's music. This kind of made me laugh. In Hilary Duff's album in 2015 called Breathe In, Breathe Out, which I feel like no one really talked about, she was the whistling in Hilary's song Sparks. It starts off with like this, and it's Haley Duff's,
Well, that's impressive that she can do that.
Can you imagine Amanda being
can't
like,
whistle.
Sophie, I'm going to record an album. Do you mind whistling on it?
I'd be like, fuck off. Can you whistle?
Only
good job.
in, but not out.
I've never been able to whistle. So I'm impressed, genuinely.
I'm just built different,
Yeah, you are.
So Haley tried to make her own attempt at singing. She signed with Hollywood Records, and she was planning on releasing a single called Screwed in August 2004 as her debut. But Paris Hilton revealed that she had also recorded a version of Screwed for her debut album, which, by the way, Paris Hilton's singing career is so slept on. I was obsessed with Stars Are Blind, obsessed.
I mean, it's a good song.
It's so
genuinely.
Good. Haley claimed that she had procured the rights to this song Screwed from songwriters prior and attempted to block Paris from releasing the song, but Paris Hilton's version was leaked onto radio airplay before their management teams could settle the dispute, and basically Haley Duff's team decided not to pursue the case further. They were like, whatever, Paris can have it. In 2008, Haley Duff had a debut album called Walk the Walk, which was scheduled to be released later in the year. However, it was never released, and Haley ended up parting ways with Hollywood Records. So it's like attempt after attempt that didn't end up panning out. It almost like it wasn't written in the stars for her.
Yeah, like a lot of bad luck, it seems like.
Yeah. And she ultimately stepped away from her desire to be in the spotlight, and she now is more behind the scenes. She produces, directs, and small films. And in 2012, she started her own blog. I weirdly and vaguely remember this, called Real Girls Kitchen, which was later picked up by the Cooking Channel and made into a show in 2014. But I did go onto the Instagram, and it's been 6 years since she's posted to the Real Girls Kitchen Instagram, so I doubt this is a real business venture of hers anymore.
Yeah.
And in 2017, she started her own children's fashion line called Little Moon Society. But I think all in all, just all these things kind of show that she really did try, and it never really panned out.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, and I do feel like, they were both really young girls. Hilary was like, I think 11 when she first started on Lizzie McGuire, making Haley 13 when her sister found immense success. You have to imagine growing up 13 through like 25, your sister is like the biggest star on the planet. She meant so much to everyone, and you're just trying to make your career happen, and it never pans out. Like, I do think there's something probably psychologically deep seated in Haylie, which I don't blame her at all.
Absolutely.
Like, this is tough.
And their mom moved them to LA to pursue acting for both of them. It just was a lucky break that, I mean, deserved because she was great, but like it kind of was a lucky break that Hilary was the one that was discovered between the two of them.
Yeah. And Hilary said that her and Haylie and Susan had tried auditioning them for so many Disney Channel shows to the point where by the time that she auditioned for Lizzie McGuire, the showrunners already knew who she was because she was always showing up and she never got past the audition. And it just kind of shows you that it was like so much tenacity on both of the young girls' parts, and Hilary finally, at one point, was able to audition for Lizzie McGuire. She ended up completely bombing the first audition. The showrunner asked her straight up, she's like, "You're not prepared for this. You need to come back tomorrow and be more prepared." Hilary Duff, like, went home that night, studied all of her lines, and came back swinging, and she ended up landing the role.
Wow.
But it shows, like, it wasn't just, like, a lucky break for Hilary immediately. They were both trying so hard, and finally, after years, Hilary ended up, like, succeeding.
Yeah. As you guys know, Christy and I are both proud aunties. And for as long as I can remember, my nephew Miles loves to eat Little Spoon. They've been such a staple in my sister's house for since he was a baby. They're also the kind of meals and snacks that you want to steal from the child. So just a heads up, because they just look so good. Miles is almost 3 and he loves the Little Spoon plates. They're heat and eat meals with superfoods and hidden veggies, perfect for picky eaters and getting mealtime on the table in minutes. His favorite and my favorite are the mini pancake puffs with chicken, vegetable, maple sausage, and sweet potato, along with the mac and cheese with invisible butternut squash and carrots. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Little Spoon also has the best snacks for when your toddler is on the go. Miles loves the puffs. They're organic, made with simple ingredients, and easy for his cute, chubby little hands to grasp, supporting oral motor development while adding a nutrition boost. Love that. With 100 plus ingredients banned across the board, you don't have to overthink labels or second guess what you're serving. It's already been thought through for you, and that confidence makes all the difference for parents and aunties like me everywhere. Feeding the kids doesn't have to be complicated. Little Spoon makes it easy with real, nutritionally balanced meals and snacks designed for every stage. It shows up ready to go, takes the pressure off, and somehow still gets devoured, veggies and all. No artificial dyes, flavors, or sweeteners either. And you know what? That's a win any parent will take every time. Get 30% off your first online order at littlespoon.com/snark with code SNARK. That's LITTLESPOON.com/snark with code SNARK for 30% off your first order.
So let's dive more into Hilary's family relationships with her dad specifically. I didn't realize how successful Hilary's family was before Lizzie McGuire. So Hilary Duff's dad was a small business owner, and he actually seemed to be very successful. Robert Duff, her father, was a partner in a chain of convenience stores across Texas with Hilary's grandfather, John Duff. And the family did well enough that Susan Duff was able to be a homemaker and obviously later a film and music producer for Hilary. And as I mentioned, they were raised in Texas, but when the girls expressed an interest in acting, the mom decided to like leave Texas to go pursue acting in LA. And they moved to California in 1993 while their father ended up staying in Houston to take care of their businesses. So like before the girls were even 10 years old, the mom fully upended their life and moved to California. Mm-hmm. And due to her acting career, Hilary was homeschooled from the age of 8. The girls also modeled for like various clothing brands, and Hilary has said that, quote, "My sister and I really showed an interest in performing and dedication, and our mother was like, how can I tell my kids no? It's the same as kids that are going into sports. Parents support them and push them."
Well, I wanted to be an actress when I was 5. Why did my parents not move me to Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean, like, upend your entire life.
Didn't we all want to be actresses when we were 5?
You and I for sure, because we're
movie star.
Yeah, I was like, Mom, I want an agent. I want to go to Hollywood and have a show. Oh my God. So the family was separated, obviously, when the girls were so young. So it's not really shocking that Susan and Robert Duff decided to split in 2008. And Hilary's father, Robert, he himself confirmed that Hilary's fame put a lot of strain on not just his relationship with his daughters, but his relationship with his wife. And he actually ended up divorcing her in 2008 following an extramarital affair that he even admitted to in an interview with Inside Edition. He said, quote, Susan was very consumed with the girls' careers. We simply grew apart. I was unfaithful to our marriage. I feel very badly about that and the effect that it had on our girls. And the same year that they filed for divorce, Hilary's dad got himself into more hot water in 2008, even spending a night in jail after getting arrested for violating an injunction against selling assets without court approval. What that really means, I'm not really entirely sure, but it's like white-collar crime. And he said, I'd never been handcuffed before. And I came across an article on the Associated Press that was published in 2008, and it says, quote, a judge in Texas has ordered the father of actress and singer Hilary Duff to spend 10 days in jail for contempt of court. Bob Duff was led away in handcuffs Wednesday morning during a court hearing after Judge Thomas Stansbury in Houston determined he violated an injunction against selling assets without court approval. And it said that he must pay in court repository $367,000 that he earned from selling stocks last month.
Wow.
So it seems like their fame at the height, I mean, at Hilary Duff's fame, her family was falling apart. And that's just a bummer because I feel like it's difficult for you to be a young woman in your teens, but also
Right.
be the most famous girl in the early 2000s and your family falling apart. Like,
It actually is such a miracle that she turned out so normal
it really is.
and
because
beat the child actor curse, because
Yes.
navigating all of this without like a real steady, stable support system was probably incredibly difficult.
Exactly. And Hillary has admitted how difficult it was for her at the time. She said in a Glamour magazine interview recently, she said, I think it's really challenging for one person to have major success in a family. It's been hard to get back to a place of health. I do think my dad loves me. I don't think you can bring a child into the world and not love them forever, but it's hard to feel like that. And that's in response to her song on her album where she says, I wish my dad really loved me. It says, let me read the whole lyric. It says, I wish I could sleep on planes and that my dad would really love me. He'd show up on my wedding day and tell my family they're all so lucky. He'd tell me how he wished he'd stay, and then he never meant to disappoint me. But till then, I'll exist as the optimist.
So this is from the new album.
Yes, this is the album that was just
Wow.
released 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And it's genuinely is so provocative in the way that she's talking so openly about her family dynamic and the struggles that she has with her sister and her father. And she even told Rolling Stone this year that there are times when she will talk to her dad and times that she doesn't. But I do remember following her career so closely as a young girl. She never talked about her dad. It was always my mom, my mom, my mom, my sister, my sister, my sister. So it's not surprising considering how her dad was kind of absent during a lot of her fame because they just simply lived in different states. And this was before FaceTime and stuff, right? So it's not like...
Well,
we could,
there was
like,
Skype. Remember Skype?
Of course. Do you remember Uvu? Did you ever
No.
use Uvu?
I don't think I used Uvu. Was that like
Same
Skype?
thing. Yeah, same thing.
So funny.
Back in the day, you guys, we had to log on to our desktops to like...
I remember I had a long distance boyfriend. Mistake number one, going to college while still dating a guy from home and doing long distance.
Wow.
And we had to Skype because we didn't have like iPhones yet. We had like
Yeah.
Blackberries.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
TBT. We would BBM though.
Loved BBM. LaGuardia has been that girl since her BBL.
LaGuardia is that girl since her BBL.
That's one of my favorite things you've ever said.
I'm talking about because wait, we talked about this already.
Did we? I know
Didn't
because we talk so often, but yeah, it is so funny. Okay, let's talk about what's been making the headlines now that you guys kind of have a background on her father or her sister. So I think the TLDR on the severance, the separation between Hilary and Haylie, something happened during the pandemic that led Hilary and Haylie to be estranged. But I feel like obviously this has been brewing for years now, and I do think it has nothing to do with Haylie allegedly being Republican, Hilary being more left-leaning. I think it has everything to do with Hilary's husband, Matthew Coma, and let's get into it. I think before we even talk about like the drama and what she said about Haylie, we need to walk through Matt and Hilary's relationship so you can really understand the full picture, timing, and why Hilary's marriage to Matthew was in and around the time that Haylie and her stopped talking. So, Matthew and Hilary if you guys are unfamiliar with Matthew Coma, he's a music producer. And Matt and Hilary collaborated on her 2015 album, Breathe In, Breathe Out, and that's how they met. It's kind of like how Selena Gomez met Benny Blanco. through music and work. So Hilary and Matt dated on and off for several years before marrying in 2019. And Hilary told People magazine in 2021, "We knew we just had to be together because we tried a bunch of times to be apart and it didn't work out for either one of us." So in early 2013, they first met in the studio. And after hearing a couple
And
of...
this is when why did she have Luca?
So her and her first husband, Mike Comrie, they got together when I don't remember the year, but Hilary was 22 or 23 when she had Luca. And her and Mike Comrie ended up divorcing in...
He was born, okay, Luca was born in 2012. So this
Yes.
is when she basically had like a 1-year-old.
Yep. And Hilary and Mike ended up divorcing in 2016.
Yep.
So by the time when her and Matt had met, she was still married.
Yep.
And Hilary
Do
says...
you remember, by the way, we should have put this in pop culture stories that we forgot about. Do you know what I'm about to say? The balcony?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Literally, I was about to say the balcony and her giving head.
Yeah. The paparazzi photos, which
Yes.
zero judgment.
Who else did that? There was another star that did that.
When Timothy Chalamet and
Isaac Gonzalez.
Isaac Gonzalez were caught having sex in a hot tub in Mexico.
And you know what else? I was thinking of Britney Spears giving Kevin Federline head in like Miami or something.
Oh my God, I don't think I know about that one.
Wait, let me fact check. Okay, no, sorry. She was just kind of like holding his crotch.
Okay, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
Zero judgment, by the way, across the board. It's just,
Yeah.
it's the paparazzi that were invading these people's privacy.
Right. So after hearing Matthew Coma's demos, the pair enjoyed a 2-hour lunch together. And Hilary has said there wasn't an instant spark because I think when you're walking into a professional meeting, she was also married, but I don't think she mentioned this in the quote. I think when you're walking into a professional meeting, you know nothing about the other person. I didn't know if he was dating someone. And then we started talking about music. Things started sparking. He was being funny enough, not flirtatious, but funny enough to where we started creating a banter and a nice friendship right off the bat. But she acknowledged on Call Her Daddy that they both acknowledged it was not the right time in their life, but they just maintained a friendship. But after she divorced Mike Comrie, Hilary and Matthew Coma made their red carpet debut at the SAG Awards in January 2017. They had been very off and on at the beginning of their relationship, so just 2 months after they made their red carpet debut, they called it quits in March 2017.
I remember this.
I do too. The couple reconciled a few months later and decided to give it another shot. A source told E! News at the time, since Matt just got back from tour, they've begun seeing each other again. Him being gone on tour was the main reason things didn't work out the first time around, so now that he's back, they've picked up right where they left off. And when I listened to Call Her Daddy, Hilary said that when her and Matthew Coma first started dating, she had just gotten out of her divorce. She's like, I was kind of ready to like fuck shit up. I wanted more of like a problematic guy. I just wanted to have fun, and Matthew was just too nice. And so I kind of just broke up with him out of nowhere, and it wasn't because I didn't like him. It wasn't the right time. And she said that she was in her car and she got a text from Matthew Coma and she was so excited. And she's like, let's give this another shot. And she said when she was filming Younger in New York City, there was a night where she was doing press all day for something. And she says, you know, one of those days where you're like not eating because you're just like go, go, go. You're talking to so many people. You're just like on like adrenaline and alcohol, basically. She's like, that night, me and Matt decided to do like an omakase dinner, and I just started a fight with him out of nowhere because I was just tired and like I was probably still buzzed. And she said that dinner erupted into such a fight that the next morning Matthew Coma left her in the New York City hotel. Like whatever that fight was about, that was like the second time they broke up. And she's like, we've been off and on like so often, but she said they ended up reconciling just a week later, and the rest is history. And so in December 2017, Hilary said that third time's the charm. She says, I think that you have history and a past with someone in love, and just because it doesn't work out the first time, the second time, as long as there's not too much damage done, then it can always work out again. So
wow, I feel like she's the exception to that and not the rule. I feel like usually if you break up that many times, it's like, okay, this isn't meant to be, but it's clearly worked out for them.
Agreed. It seems like it was pretty diabolical in the beginning, and I think
Yeah.
Hilary Duff, from what I got from the interview with Alex Cooper, it seemed like she was kind of the problem all the time, and he was just kind of always willing to wait for her until she made up her mind.
I mean, at omakase, the sake is flowing.
Exactly. And
Words
you're like,
come out that you can't take back. Been
Right,
there.
right,
Been
right.
there.
So in October 2018, Hilary Duff and Matthew Coma, they weren't married yet, but they welcomed their first baby. And then just like 8 months after they welcomed their first baby, they announced their engagement. And Hilary wrote on Instagram, he asked me to be his wife, and she showed off her ring. And he said, I asked my best friend to marry me at Hilary Duff. And in December 2019, this is when Hilary and Matthew tied the knot. And this is where it starts to get dicey when it comes to Haylie and hers relationship as sisters. So the signs were kind of low-key always there. And I came across an article that was published to Us Weekly in January 2020. And ahead of Hilary and Matthew getting married, Haylie told Us Weekly that she was certain that Hilary would not elope. She did joke, however, that, oh, me and my fiance, Matt Rosenberg, we might elope, but Hilary's parents will Hilary and like my parents will kill me if I do. But when asked about her sister Hilary's wedding, Haylie said, quote, Hilary will have a wedding because she's the good daughter that does, like everything that she's supposed to. I'm not really helping her plan. She's planning her own little thing.
So this was before the wedding. So this was in 2019, not 2020.
Yes. Sorry. The Us Weekly article was published in 2020, but yeah, she had said these words before they got married.
Yeah.
Before they got married.
Yeah.
In December 2019. But don't you think that's a little shady? I'm not really helping her plan. She's planning her own little thing.
Her own little thing is like kind of like shady. Yeah.
And her saying she will have a wedding because she's the good daughter that does like everything she's supposed to.
Yeah. Like
that sounds shady.
There are like backhanded compliments here.
Yes. And to say it to like a publication that's going to
like what are you doing? It's so weird.
I think that's really weird. So in March 14th, 2020.
Oh my God, the day after COVID.
Yes, this is like when
all of us.
Yeah, the entire world shut down.
I remember it was like Friday, March 13th, I want to say.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, the world changed forever.
Yes. Hilary Duff posted her Instagram story a picture of a tabloid. And it's like a picture of Kate Middleton, but on the side it says, Hilary Duff, marriage on the rocks already. And Hilary Duff puts on her story, apparently Matt and I are having trouble. And there are random blind
And she
items.
says, he hasn't told me yet, ...
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see that.
That's really funny.
Apparently Matt and I are having trouble. He hasn't told me yet. And there are random blind items that have circulated the internet for years that Haylie has released stories about Hilary to the tabloids.
That is a relationship ending as a famous person. I can totally because if you can't even trust your sibling, like, oh my God, you already feel like you really, really, really have to be careful about who you let into your life.
Exactly.
Oh my God. That's
and
like...
it's your blood, by the way.
That is... Oh my God. That would 1,000%... I know it's like, we don't know if that's actually true. It's just blind items. But if that is true, I would never speak to my sibling again.
Agreed. And the timeline, again, Hilary and Matthew tie the knot, December 2019. There's this Us Weekly article that's published that Haylie made comments about the wedding before it happened, saying she's planning her own little thing. She'll do whatever a good daughter does. And then 2 months after that Us Weekly article is published, another tabloid article is saying that her and Matt are having problems. Like, all these things are weird to me.
It's almost like Haylie... I mean, it's understandable, right? Because we talked about how hard it would be to kind of be like the not famous sister of the two. Mm-hmm. Like, was she trying to take Hilary down a peg, ruin her happiness because she was bitter or jealous?
Right.
Which, again, this is purely speculative, but it does kind of make sense if you think about it.
Yeah. And, like, we really have to speculate based on what Hilary has admitted. And I didn't put this in the outline in my notes here, but when all the Ashley Tisdale mom group was published, that the Cut article, and Matthew Coma had that shady Instagram post of him dressing like Ashley Tisdale and saying she's so self-centered and tone deaf. Haylie Duff got lunch with Ashley Tisdale like days after that drama.
Yeah, I
like,
saw that.
Hailey's poking the bear, in my opinion.
She is.
Like, she's 100%. She's feeding into all this gossip, and she knows exactly what she's doing when she's being photographed at like wherever they were, like Chateau Marmont or somewhere like very tabloidy pap filled.
Yeah.
So this weird Instagram story or like Hilary Duff saying me and Matthew are having problems, that's March 2020. So let's fast forward to October and November 2020. This is the last time Haylie ever I went down her entire Instagram to see when the last time she posted about Hilary was.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I literally was like late at night doom scrolling.
Also, they were so cute as children. Sorry.
Yeah, they were.
It's a picture. It's like a picture of them where they're children, and like they were so cute, like these little like blonde children. No wonder the mom was like, "You guys need to go to Hollywood. You're
right."
freaking
Like,
my
Haley
mom
Duff
didn't. My mom didn't take me to Hollywood because I was too ugly.
No. Hey, no, but I know what you mean. It's like they're such like Texas like pageant girls.
Yes,
in
pageant
here.
girls. Yeah.
Yeah, like Haley Duff's hair is totally blown out. Like I wish my hair looked like that at in my 30s. Like her hair looks amazing.
Yeah.
So Haley Duff posted a throwback photo on November 16th, 2020, and she's just as referencing how they look like they're now kids, Hilary and Haley's kids. And then a month before, it's a picture of the family. Hilary's with Luca, Haley's with her young daughter and their mother, and they're like cooking in the kitchen. So this is November and October 2020, the last time Haley ever posts about Hilary. And I went down Hilary's Instagram, and maybe I just didn't catch it. She didn't really post a lot about Haley, like grid photos. So it wasn't like I couldn't find receipts of when Hilary last posted about Haley. But the TLDR is that after these posts in November 2020, Haley stops interacting with Hilary's social media at all in January of 2021. No comments, no birthday acknowledgments, no birthday posts on the story, etc.
But they still follow each other.
They still follow each other. I think something happened during this first year of marriage because Matthew and Hilary got married in December 2019. Fast forward to January 2021, so basically a year later, post their nuptials, Haley and Hilary stopped interacting and stopped talking to each other altogether. And the public didn't actually really catch on to this estrangement until a TikTok creator named Jordy Cray, he started posting about it on TikTok in March 2022. He talks about in this TikTok, the OG TikTok that I watched, he said, I was watching Material Girls with Hilary and Haley, and I asked myself, what is Hilary Duff doing? I noticed that they still follow one another on Instagram, and at the time, I think it was Haley followed Matthew, but Matthew did not follow Haley. One or the other, I forget. Since then, Haley and Matthew, as of today, February 26, 2026, Haley and Matthew do not follow each other at all on Instagram. So whenever Jordy Cray made this TikTok, again, I forget if it's Haley following Matthew and not the other way around. Yeah. Both of them do not follow each other anymore.
Wow.
So Jordy Cray says, I noticed that they're not posting. Hilary Duff, around the time of Haley's birthday, she was in Vegas at like a concert. She posted with her girlfriends, but no evidence that she posted about Haley Duff on her birthday, even though they consistently would comment, post about each other. No trace of this on their socials in 2022. And Jordy Cray admitted on the Dumois podcast, he said that he was tipped off from a source in 2022 that Hilary and Haley did in fact watch his TikTok. They know about his TikTok. And despite all the rumors that we think that it's because Haley and Hilary have different views on the pandemic and COVID and political beliefs, it's not about that at all. It's Matthew Coma at the center of it.
Wow.
And I think the timeline of what I just walked you guys through does line up. Something with Matthew Coma, I think, happened in their first year of marriage that caused Haley to separate herself.
The timeline absolutely adds up.
And there's been so much speculation, and you and I are very online. We've seen this speculation for so long over the last couple of years. In the CBS Mornings interview with Anthony Mason, which, by the way, I highly recommend you guys watch that over the Call Her Daddy interview, because I think Anthony Mason asked questions in a way that was conversational that allowed Hilary to really... There were thoughtful answers on Hilary's part, and he was able to really talk with her point blank about
give
her
him a podcast.
No, literally everyone was saying like, kudos to Anthony Mason for being so for like allowing Hilary to be disarmed on this interview.
Literally, like I feel like I've seen so many clips from this interview. I've seen none from Call Her Daddy except like I crashed the Lindsay Lohan premiere, blah blah blah, and like never any interesting tidbits or sound bites come from Call Her Daddy. Unless it's like by accident.
Right. Question, answer, question, answer. No thought-provoking follow-up questions at all made by Alex Cooper. But fortunately, Anthony Mason's doing the Lord's work, and he asks her, you're talking about your sister. What happened? Is We Don't Talk one of the songs on your album about Haley? Yeah. And Hilary confirms, yes, it's definitely about my sister. And just absolutely the most lonely part of my existence is not having my sister in my life at the moment.
And she also looks she's on the verge of tears during this interview.
You and I were texting about this when I sent you the clip, and Sophie goes, she looks like she's about to cry.
She looks so sad. So sad.
Right. And when asked by Anthony Mason what Hilary thinks Haylie will think of the song on the album, she says she's not sure, but she wanted to put it on the record because it is her own truth. It's Hilary's truth. And Hilary said, quote, "I don't know if she'll hear it. I don't know how she'll react to it. You know, it's a really personal part of my life that doesn't get to stay personal. So I might as well say how it is for me, and that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to say anything bad. It's literally just my experience, and that's really all I feel like sharing." And when Anthony asked her, "Do you hope your sister hears this?" Hilary says, "I don't think that would help. I have to exist as a person on my own. You have to do what you want to do and what feels good for you." And just to add a little bit more layer on that, when Hilary was asked that question, she kind of said, like, nothing about this song is going to change any dynamic in our relationship. Like, it is what it is, like where we stand right now. And so the song isn't going to make her. What I got from that is like, Haley's not going to reach out just because she listened to this song.
Yeah,
like,
it's not going to make a meaningful difference. Yeah.
No. So, I don't know. This part made me, when she was admitting to this, like, as a person who has a sister, like, I feel like growing up so closely in age too, and not even to say you need to be close in age to be close with a sibling, but just from my own experience, like, doing things so parallelly with Audrey for so long, and then having just, like, no contact with her. That's devastating. And then there has to create a dynamic in Hilary's head of, like, is it because of me? Because I was always the child that had more.
Yeah. And I mean, my sister is like an extension of me. We always joke, like, you're a side character in my life. You know how, like, everyone feels like their sibling is a side character in their life?
Yeah.
It's like the funniest thing. Amanda's like, I don't feel like you're a side character in my life. I'm like, yeah, because I'm the main character. Anyway, my point is that, like, we are extensions of each other. And we're luckily very close. We weren't that close growing up because, I mean, we were 3 years apart. And I feel like I always wanted to, like, hang out with my older sister. And she was like, ew, get away from me. Mm-hmm. But I feel like as we've grown older, we've just gotten closer and closer. And this can go for I feel like any siblings, any age difference. It doesn't really matter, like, what genders you are, what the age difference are. It's just, like, your sibling is an extension of you. And I know that some people don't have that relationship with their sibling, but a lot do. And I feel like I just can't imagine. Like, it's the one person in the world who fully understands you because they grew up alongside you, parallel to you.
Yes. And the fact that you have the same, like, blood, DNA, your parents, like, whatever hard and tough experience you went through as kids, being the children of your shared parents, like, there's something in that bond that is hard to break. And
so something drastic must have happened.
Yes. And I can't even believe I'm, like, referencing freaking Kristen Cavallari, but we know her.
Me and Mark.
Someone was like, "Chrissy, the Sophie voice is starting to sound like you host a podcast with Kristen."
I know, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. So
no, but when I do,
Mark?
No, literally though, you are, like, your voice is so similar. Like, all my friends here are like, "Why does Sophie sound like she's from California? Why does she sound like she's from?"
Wait,
here?
that's so funny because I've gotten that my entire life, and I'm like, I'm not from California. I don't know. Maybe it is because I watched so much TV growing up. I watched so much.
Like, you're 100%. Like, yes, absolutely. I do think you talk like you sound like you're more from California than I do.
That's so funny and embarrassing. Because I know it's not a compliment. But it is what it is.
Yeah, we can't help our voices.
Yeah, so me and Mark.
Henry, out of my way. Henry.
I will never get over that.
I'm going to start naming our group chat between the three of us out of my way. Just like, and it's not going to be like spaces. It's just going to be one word. Out of my way.
Out of my way.
I'm going to do that after we get off this call. Henry, out of my way. Out of my way. And Henry's just shaking his head like.
For reference, you guys, if this is another inside joke that you weren't, like, present for, it was when we were having technical difficulties and I was FaceTiming Christy and Henry was trying to fix the camera and I was like, out of my way. And Christy was so scared on the other line. She was like, oh my God, they're fighting.
I, like, didn't know what to do. No, it's we were trying to figure out this thing for our LLC yesterday. And Sophie's like, Henry, I'm going to need your help when you get back from the office. I don't know what this is. I'm
you guys, no one, this is such an annoying segue. I'm so sorry. But no one tells you that when you start an LLC, scammers love ya all of a sudden. They
Yep.
pounce.
Yep.
Scammers pounce. And we're like, we've never done this before. So we're like, oh my God, we owe $2,000 to World Trademark Association. And Henry's like, that's obviously a scam. So just so you know, if you're starting an LLC, that's something to look out for. Because no one told us.
No, and Sophie's like sending people, I don't know what's real, what's not. Henry, when you come home, you're going to have to decipher this for me.
I'm an independent woman until it comes to whatever I need Henry for. Like fixing the Jura just now. Before we recorded.
the thing is, like, it's nice because you have him, you don't have to figure it out. Like, I was talking to my, like, single girlfriend, best friend, and she was like, that's because Sophie has a husband. She can help her with these things. I was like, no, I know. But, like, with me, I have to, it's me, myself, and I.
That's why you're so good at figuring things out. You'll figure it out for me. You're like, I'm troubleshooting this for you. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like a Saturday. Like, relax.
Send me the screenshot, Sophie. What is it saying? 1 second, Henry's trying to do it himself.
It's like a Saturday. I'm like, take a day off, but she can't.
I can't. No, I literally can't. Like it's like in my. It's, speaking of DNA, you know.
Okay, sorry. Back to Kristen Cavallari.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I don't even know how we got here. Okay, so Kristen Cavallari, she had a tragedy in her life where her brother had this like freak accident death, if you even want to call it that. I don't know if it was, I mean, whatever happened, it's tragic.
Yeah.
And I watched this episode of, you know, that Henry the Medium, Tyler Henry?
Tyler Henry, the Medium, yeah.
Medium, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
He did a reading with Kristen, or maybe it was some other celebrity like a medium. It doesn't matter. But basically, Kristen asked the medium, she goes, I always felt badly because my life had all these good things and success, and I feel like my brother didn't. And the medium assured Kristen, like, your brother is not upset with you because you were given like the bigger half, basically, and that made Kristen feel very at peace because she was struggling with that after his death. And I think that when it comes to Hilary and Haylie, obviously there's no death involved, fortunately, but I do think that it's really hard for both. I'm not undermining either one of their struggles because to me, Hilary, it's not my fault that I'm popular. It's not her fault that she was like gained all the success and made a lot of money, and but I do think that like that probably caused guilt for Hilary, and then it also caused probably a lot of shame for Haylie that she couldn't undo at a very young age. So I don't think either person is wrong. I think that there's a lot of complex psychological things that are happening here.
Absolutely. And I feel like we talk about it with like Nepo babies, like the curse of the Nepo baby, because obviously they have so many privileges and advantages in life. They're rich. Like, who feels bad for Nepo babies? But then when you really think about it, it's like, imagine having, you are living in the shadow of someone else's dream.
Yeah.
You have these impossible standards to live up to, and you ask yourself, like, do I only have this opportunity because of who I'm related to? It makes you probably question everything about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that if we look at Ashley Simpson, for instance, that's actually, I think, the anomaly outlier scenario where Jessica Simpson was huge. She had this smashing hit of a reality show, Newlyweds. Then Ashley Simpson came along and she dyed her hair black. She had her own show. We really separated Jessica and Ashley. I don't think Ashley was famous because Jessica was her sister. Yeah, she had a leg up because of Jessica.
She got the opportunities.
Right. The opportunity was handed to her because of her
Yeah.
sister, but at the same time, we can think about Ashley Simpson and not think about Jessica Simpson. When we think about Hilary Duff, we think about Hilary Duff.
Absolutely.
So but the Ashley Simpson like formula is very, very unique and does not happen for really anyone. Elizabeth Olsen's also a really good example. I feel like she's been able to create a lot of success outside of her sisters because the sisters have been out of the spotlight for like decades now.
Same with Elle Fanning and Dakota Fanning.
That's actually a good example too, where I feel
Because
like they're separated.
Dakota was the child actor that was everywhere. And then Elle kind of just like popped up out of nowhere, and now she's nominated for an Oscar. You think about them totally independently. They're both so successful independently of each other.
Agreed. And I also
Nepo
feel like
siblings.
Yeah. I was gonna say Dakota's kind of stepped out of the spotlight, but that's not true. I feel like they just have their own projects. That
She
speak
was
for
just
themselves.
in All Her Fault.
I was gonna say my favorite show.
Your favorite show, yeah.
That I was like, I don't know why this isn't being talked about more. Like that.
And everyone was like, because it's really bad. I mean, it's fun to watch, but it's like not a good show.
Literally obsessed. Like that might have been my show of 2025.
You're like, move over, Mad Men.
Yeah. Succession, you got nothing on All Her Fault.
Yep. Yep.
Ugh, I love Succession. I want to rewatch that for the first time. Okay, I just want to speak to some two blind items that I found about their beef. So this blind item is 2022. So this is well after a year and a half after Hillary and Matthew got married. But this blind item states these two sisters have long had their feuds. One is much higher on the list, and all of you know her. The lesser known one knows her higher on the list sibling has slept with every guy the lesser known sister has ever dated for any length of time or has been interested in. Again, take blind items with a grain of salt, but that's scathing if this is true, that Hillary's sleeping with Haley's exes.
Or like, yeah. Oh my God. That's
Gross, too.
sometimes I feel like it's about like knowing you can, you know? It's like, well, know your place. Like I can get any guy I want and you are the lesser sibling. Not saying that this is automatically true just because it was on
Right.
Crazy Days and Nights, but oh my
If
God.
it were true, it's really dark-sided, and it's
Yeah.
giving like Kourtney Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, Justin Bieber.
Oh my God.
Gross. Okay, this was actually recently published, this blind item, in July 2025. It says, the name flying around Broadway circles right now is randomly the sibling of a former Disney singer. She has been eyed to return to Broadway, and remember, Haley did have her stint on Broadway in 2006 on Hairspray. She has been eyed to return to Broadway to play the understudy for the former singing television actress in the revival of the board game, and our former singing television actress is reportedly not happy about it. So that's basically saying that Hilary Duff is an understudy for Leah Michele in the Broadway show Chess. Is that
Chess. Yeah, I've never heard of that. And that Leah Michele isn't happy about it. Why does Leah Michele care?
I think it's Hilary Duff is not happy about it.
But it says to play the understudy for the former singing television actress, and our former singing television actress is not happy about it. So
Oh,
it
so
uses
Leah
the same.
Michele.
Yeah.
Well, Leah Michele fucking sucks. Like I
Yeah,
cannot
Leah
stand
Michele
her.
sucks.
Yeah, so she's probably just annoyed at anyone who's her understudy because she thinks she's automatically better than them. I can't stand Leah Michele. Okay, so I just want to call out a couple things because I do feel like Hillary has this like glowing aura about her that people think she can do no wrong. Like you said at the top of the episode, she's the good girl. She can do no wrong. When the Hillary and Lindsay feud came out, everyone was Team Hillary because she's a nice girl. Lindsay's mean. But I want to call out a couple of like low stakes scandals that Hillary's been a part of. So Lizzie McGuire meant a lot to me, and I remember that Lelaine, who played Miranda on the show, was not on the movie, and she kind of got like ousted out of the show towards the end.
She wasn't in the movie.
Nope, she was in Mexico City visiting her family.
I don't know why I remember her being in the movie. That's so weird. That's like the
No.
Mandela effect.
Yes, so there have been rumors that I've read for years that Hillary and Lelaine, they were young, right? You have like beef when you're like 12 years old.
Yeah.
They didn't get along. They had this like competition of like who's more famous, and Hilary Duff's mom basically made it such that Lelaine would be kicked off set. And that's why she was not on the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Wow.
So, again, Hillary was like 11. It's like little, playground drama.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said about Lelaine she didn't have work after that. Maybe whether that was due to her own, like, decision making or something. But something was there with Lelaine and Hillary that made her not on the movie. Hillary has had some scandals that went largely unaddressed because of her good girl image or the time period. There was a cultural appropriation moment where she dressed as like pilgrims and Indians, which I feel like, again, we now know in the lens of 2026 is problematic. Back then, we wouldn't have known that. So that one I kind of give her a little bit more of a pass, just based on like cultural understanding and lack of wokeness back then. Hillary dating Joel Madden, which we talk about a lot, but was never talked about back then. She was 16, he was in his 20s. I think that's also a little bit of a side eye from the part of Hillary's mom. If you have a 16-year-old daughter who's dating a 25-year-old, that's not okay.
Yeah, that's really disgusting. Not like on her part, on his part it is. And like the mom,
Yes.
if
Yes.
if she knew about this relationship, which presumably she did, but like Joel Madden, that's fucking creepy, and I can't believe that like we just let him
Get away with it.
get away with it. Like that's
No, I know.
disgusting.
Now he's married to Nicole Richie, and Nicole
Yeah.
and Hillary are often seen out and about. They have like a good relationship now, like they'll double date, but I do think it's really gross.
I remember also because Hillary, I feel like this was during like the 2000s, say like 2007, when I feel like Nicole Richie, Rachel Zoe, Hilary Duff were all so thin and
Yes.
on all of the magazine covers, strutting
Yes.
around Chateau
Yes.
Marmont.
Yes.
That was such a time. And we talk about how, the Ozempic usage of today is reminiscent of the early 2000s and obviously like the 90s with heroin chic, but it
Yeah.
reminds me of when we were growing up with these
Yes.
magazines.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. 100%. I can remember like the Lindsay Lohan red dress and her and Nicole Richie strutting into like Chateau Marmont on the cover of
Yeah.
People.
We
Yeah.
just like can't think of any other like place where like Chateau Marmont.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, in her Dignity music video, there was definitely cultural appropriation there as well, but also low key, like so many people did this as well. Selena Gomez did it in her Come and Get It song. If you scroll to the bottom, she's like cosplaying as like a belly dancer. Hilary Duff is, and she has like Indian jewels on her forehead. Selena Gomez has done this too. Again, this was a different time. I don't think she would do this today, but it just shows you how like unaware we were as a society back then. One other thing I wanted to call out that I think is a little bit shady when it comes to her and Hilary Duff in the song We Don't Talk. She writes, emotional eviction, no more sentimental overlap, and if it's because you're jealous, God knows I would sell it all, then break you off the bigger half. And everyone on Reddit and TikTok were like, jealous? That's so shady, Hillary. Like, why would you, now you're like accusing her of being jealous? That's not the adjective I would use.
Wait, so she's referring to Haley here?
Yes. And if it's because
Oh.
you're jealous, God knows I would sell it all and break you off the bigger half. That's how it goes.
Oh, I mean, she calls it like she sees it, I guess.
Katie Maloney.
I call it like I see it. Like, she calls it like she sees it, apparently. I
Don't you
mean,
think that's kind of mean, though, that adjective? If
yeah.
it's because you're jealous, sorry that everyone likes me. And people were posting the Gretchen Wieners. I can't help it that I'm popular.
Yeah, I mean, but she can't. She
Yeah, she
literally
can't.
can't. And I also think with like the mom group drama, because I feel like this, like you said, has put their relationship or lack thereof back in the spotlight recently,
Front and
where
center, yep.
Ashley Tisdale was like, I was part of a mom group, but they were toxic, so I left. And everyone's like, you're 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it just made Ashley Tisdale look really bad. And everyone knew the mom group that she was referring to included Hilary Duff. So the fact that Haley Duff was hanging out with Ashley Tisdale after that is also shady.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think that is far more shady than this lyric.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And so you don't think that political differences, because again, this was kind of like a long-standing rumor that Haley was maybe more conservative, Hillary is more progressive. You don't think that that played a factor here?
I really don't, because how many times do we have family members that have political differences from us? Like, this is a tale as old as time, I feel like, especially younger people typically lean more left, and then our parents, our aunts and our uncles, they lean a little bit more right. Like, I feel like that's a more common thing that you could probably reconcile amongst yourselves that wouldn't cause this much of a divide. And it's not to say, like, maybe it contributed, maybe it didn't help, but I genuinely do think that Matthew Coma is at the
Matthew
center of
Cuomo
this.
was actually the driving force.
Yeah, and the fact that in 2022, I can't remember if it was Matthew that didn't follow Haley or the other way around, but that also speaks to some
Well,
divide.
also the fact that, I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of Hillary and Matthew's relationship, obviously, but the fact that they were like off and on at the beginning, I could imagine Haley being like, that guy's toxic. You guys keep breaking up. He's not good for you.
Yes.
But it sounds like the divide happened after they were married. So not in 2017 when they got back together for the third time, but in 2020, their first year of marriage.
Yes.
So who knows? But it does sound like it's something related to Matthew Coma.
And you know what's interesting too is that if Hillary's estranged from both her sister and her father, I was on Haley's Instagram, and as recent as like this past Christmas, she was posting with both of her parents in this photo with her kids. And obviously Hillary wasn't there, but it makes me think that Hillary's relationship right now in terms of immediate family is with her mom only. Like, I don't think she's good with her dad, because I don't think she would go so far as to say in this lyric, like, questioning whether her father loves her. And that my father would really love me. I wish I could sleep on planes and that my father would really love me. Like, that's a pretty scathing lyric to say if you and your father are okay in this moment.
Right. But Haley seems to be okay with them.
Yes. Yes.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, this was very illuminating. I feel like I learned a lot. So thank you for walking us through this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that Hillary's definitely having a renaissance. She's tried to kind of recreate her success back in like 2003, 2004 with Metamorphosis and like her being Lizzie McGuire. But I do think the execution of her renaissance period has been absolutely flawless. I think she's been absolutely killing it. She did such a good job on tour, and having just seen Ashley Simpson in that same exact venue last year and then seeing Hillary's production was just incredible. Her wardrobe was stunning. Her makeup looked so good. Like, everything about her, she is doing everything so right. And I'd imagine that this second wind of her career and her success probably isn't going to help the family divide. And I think especially her calling it out on these lyrics,
Yeah.
I actually see this maybe deepening like the wound more than helping it. So
That's unfortunate. It's like you
I
shouldn't
know.
have to, choose between career success and family. You should ideally be able to have it all. But
I know. And now she has her own family. She has 4 kids.
yeah, she has her own family. So
Yeah.
she can focus on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. As we shifted the schedule a bit around because we knew we wanted to cover this while it's, really topical right now. But next week, we will be talking about a man, Bravo man.
Yes,
We all
another
know.
Bravo celebrity. Yeah, that we all know and not necessarily love, but that we've been watching for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, follow us at SnarkBaitPod. I'm at ChristinaWall __. Sylvie's at Soph_Ross. Patreon.com/SnarkBaitPod. YouTube.com/at SnarkBaitPod. Substack.com/SnarkBaitPod. Our live show
Yeah.
tickets are all in our bio.
Yep. In the show notes, sign up for our weekly newsletter that goes out every Friday. Our live show tickets, again, in the show notes. Hope to see you guys there. Yeah, leave us a 5-star rating and a review if you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time. Thanks for being here, guys.
Bye.
Bye.